Right? We'll do a bunch of questions. Try these two. We'll carry on. Beautiful question. Wonderfully challenging in a very simple framework. Not that very little data given, but it's crystal clear what they're trying to talk about. The framing is beautiful. What percentage of its non-rental expense is its rent? First, you need to find rent, that's already given. First, we need to find the income. Then we need to find expense. Then we need to put back the rent in it. Then we need to think about non-rental expense. Then we need to think about rent and non-rental expense. So the framework for this, find income. From income, find savings. Then find expense. Within expense, we have rent and we have non-rental expense. Find all this, then answer that question, which is what percent of its non-rental expense is its rent. Find all the numbers, fill them in, then it becomes more meaningful. What percentage of this is this? Beautiful question. The first part is simple, and I'm going to knock off the first part. If the family spends $640 on rent, what is its monthly income? 32% of monthly income, 32 by 100 into monthly income is $640 in dollars, or monthly income is $640 into 100 by 32. 20 into 100, $2,000. So this family spends or gets an income of $2,000. Its rent is $640. Then we need to fill the remaining bits. Let's do this. So we found that the overall income is $2,000. The family saves 20% of its monthly income. What do they save? 20 by 100 into 2,000. 2 into 200, which is $400. They save $400 out of 2,000. How much is the expense? Out of 2,000, you spend and have 400 remaining. Expense should be 2,000 minus 400, which is $1,600. That's the total expense. But this pesky question talks not about total expense or total income. It talks about non-rental expense. So out of this expense of 1,600, 640 is spent only on rent. So let's find out non-rental expense. Apart from rent, what other expense we have? That is from this 1,600, subtract 640, which is $960. Now we have found out everything that we want to find out. Income, yeah, in the bag. Rent, already given. Savings, yes, we found it out. Expense, yeah, we did income minus savings. Non-rental expense, yeah, we've got that also. Now, what percentage of its non-rental expense is its rent? What percentage of this number is this number? What is this by this as a percentage? This, oops. 640 by 960 into 100. 64 by 96 is 2/3. 2/3 of 100, which is 66.67%. Absolutely delightful question. Very little is given, which is complicated, but going through all these parts, we can frame this question and say, hey, what percentage of its non-rental expense is its rent? The question could have said, what percentage of its non-rental expense is its savings? What percentage of savings is rent? It can be framed in a zillion different ways. We can still solve any and all of those variants. The funda is very simple. Finding a percentage of a number, possible. Finding A as a percentage of B, possible. That's all we need to know. Everything else we can roll after that. Right? 66.67% is the right answer, which is 2/3 as a percentage. But the beauty in this question is, we've done all this. Technically speaking, we could have done this without finding these numbers. You can say, hey, let's look at this question. 100 is the income, 20% is savings, 80% is expense, 32% is rental. Remaining 80 minus 32 is 48. 48% is non-rental expense. 32 by 48 into 100. 2/3 of 100. 66.67%. This as a percentage of this. Everything is in percentage terms. The actual numbers are not so important. This is 32 expense. Rent is 32% of income. That way 100, this is 32. Savings is 20% of income. 20. Expense will therefore be 80. 100 minus 20 is 80. Everything can just retain in terms of the percentages and simplify this question. We don't even need to know the $640 or the $2,000, the actual number. If everything is given in percentage term, then we don't need the number. The question oscillates or alternates between percentage and this. Suppose they say a family has a healthcare expense of 42% of its total expense, education expense of $3,000, then we are in trouble. If everything is in percentage terms, then we can even ignore the actual number and complete the whole thing in percentage terms. Right? Lovely. Now we looked at the last step and said 2/3, therefore 66.66%. That's super useful.